So we've just had the Brazilian Grand Prix qualifying for Sunday's race, and it never fails to deliver, does it? Brazil is fantastic, and wow, what a session we had there. Let's get straight into Q1. Joe Guanyu, he'll start last in that qualifying session. Logan Sargent finally off the back of the grid, he'll start in 19th place. Bottas in 18th. I was expecting a bit more from Alfa Romeo this weekend, not sure why, and he's actually qualified really badly, hasn't he, for the race. And then comes Daniel Ricciardo. After a strong Mexico Grand Prix, they kind of struggled here this weekend, especially in qualifying, and then his teammate beats him in qualifying, starts 16th, Yuki Tsunoda. It was a really close session, wasn't it? It was like P4 to P15 was just 3/10, and that sort of pattern followed throughout all of the qualifying sessions. A mega lap from Nico Hülkenberg in P4, and you thought, could Haas be in for a surprise? I know they pulled it off last season, didn't they? George Russell topped that session, and it looked like, you know, Mercedes were going to be strong and in for a fight for pole. And that moved us into the Q2 session, where towards the end of that session we started to see some rain that was predicted for this Friday, but it didn't really quite hit the track, did it? And then that's seen Alex Albon, who's going to qualify in 15th place. He had a time deleted for track limits. One of the only drivers to do that, really. So I'm not sure if he was just struggling with wind directions or what that caused him to go off track. And then comes Kevin Magnussen in 14th place, Pierre Gasly in 13th, Ocon in 12th, and Nico Hülkenberg in 11th place. I think that's a pretty good performance from him, actually, just outside the points. And if there's any scope tomorrow, hopefully he can pick up some points actually on Sunday's race. The star in that session was Fernando Alonso, P4 start. Lando, Norris topped that one. The McLaren was right on song and on form, weren't they? And looked like they were the team to beat, to be honest with you. Max Verstappen in second, and Sergio Perez, who came to the fight, in third in that session. And again, just so close to P1 from last, was just 0.8 of a second. So 0.8, and you're right on pole. It was just 0.3 from first to 8th in that session, so it was really tight. And then we got this strange Q3 session, didn't we? And we had this big darkening of the cloud, just adding to the atmosphere, which is fantastic in Brazil anyway. And we just effectively got one run, didn't they, before they called the red flag. Driver saying it was strange weather because it was not raining, but it felt like the track was wet, and I think that's because we just seemed to get really heavy winds. I think a couple of teams missed the boat on that one. Lando, Norris, especially for McLaren, they went out and was one of the slowest teams to go out. Mercedes got out early, but then trundled down the pit lane and didn't really put any emphasis on how quickly they needed to get round to get probably the best of the conditions early on. But Max Verstappen surely did, didn't he? Beat a couple of cars out of the pit lane round the outside, and then off he went, and he's going to start the race on pole position, Max Verstappen. I thought this would be a closer session, and potentially someone else at the front. And had we probably had a normal Q3, I think the result would have definitely been different. Second place is line up behind him is Charles Leclerc. That's his best qualifying position in Brazil. They did look strong, actually, didn't they? Ferrari probably just off, probably Red Bull and McLaren's. And then comes Lance Stroll. Fantastic performance from him. The Aston Martin was actually strong throughout all of the sessions. Would they have ended up there in a normal session? Probably not, but they were right back on song. And to be fair, it was so close at the top in all the other sessions that small gains would have, really moved you up the field. And then comes his teammate Fernando Alonso in 4th place, so it tops off a brilliant qualifying session for the Aston Martin team. They'll be hoping to pick up some points potentially on Sundays, even potentially back on the podium. It'll be great to see if they can sort of turn that around after the horrible second half of the season they've had. 5th place comes Lewis Hamilton, and I had him tipped for potentially winning Sunday's race, and it's going to be a harder battle for him from here. He's got a few cars in front of him that Potentially they should be faster than in race conditions, but who knows when you've only had one free practice session ahead of the race, and if you've got the car set up right for that. But yeah, he beats his teammate who lines up behind him, George Russell, in 6th place. Lando Norris in 7th, and he was absolutely gutted, wasn't he, at the end of his run? He was slow out on that last run, strangely, considering what the weather condition looked like. I don't think they expected it just to change as quickly as it did, because at the end of Q2 there was a bit of rain, but then it just suddenly got big dark clouds over the circuit and just the wind picked up. It was scary actually at one point when they looked up into the sky. There was a helicopter up there, and I'm definitely sure you don't want to be a helicopter with them winds. Just hope they got down safely, whoever was up there. But yeah, back to Norris, a P7. He actually looked like he should have been on pole. The McLaren was absolutely rapid, backed up by his teammate Oscar Piastri, who was also quick in all of the other sessions. I mean, there was little pick between the two of them, but Lando was a tip of the two, and yeah, massively disappointed. P7 from him. I can expect them to come forward in the race, but again, like Hamilton, he's given himself a lot to do, hasn't he, to try and potentially get his first win. But we get a mad race here in Brazil, so you just never know. Carlos Sainz in 8th place, and he'll be disappointed. His teammate is up in 2nd and he is 8th. Perez again 9th position, a massive disappointment for him, and Oscar Piastri in 10th place, and he was the last of the runners. He lost it on the last corner. I don't know if that was just massive wind conditions changing, because it was blustery and it just looked absolutely insane. Massive storm coming at the end of that session. But yeah, with 4 minutes to go, they red flagged it, and I think that was purely because it just looked like it was too dangerous for anybody to go out. They didn't want to encourage anyone to try and do a lap on in them conditions, and they just closed the end of the session thinking that's it, which is fair enough. But for the grid for the race on Sunday should be absolutely brilliant. Can someone hold and peg back Max Verstappen? You always get an exciting first corner here, don't we, with that incline, uphill run to the first corner, into the centre and down to turn 4. There's, pole position, there's just chances to be overtaken here, especially if you get a good exit out the centre S's and down to turn 4 early on. Let's see how that pans out in the race. But yeah, brilliant session for Aston Martin. Well done to them. A 4th and 3rd. Lance Stroll in P3, an absolutely mega job from him. Lando Norris will be disappointed. I am really expecting him to come to the front in the race, so we've got a fantastic race ahead of us on Sunday, and it's sprint day tomorrow, so watch out for the sprint shootout and sprint race review coming together tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe and comment as always. I'll see you next time.